Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into a world shrouded in the mists of time. A place where the jungle hums with unseen spirits and towering pyramids pierce the emerald canopy. Close your eyes for a moment and picture it you're trudging through thick, humid air, the scent of damp earth and exotic flowers filling your nostrils. Sunlight, dappled and fragmented, barely penetrates the dense foliage above, casting an eerie glow on ancient, moss-covered stones. You hear the distant cry of a howler monkey, a sound that sends a shiver down your spine. Not of fear, but of profound, primeval wonder. This isn't your typical stroll in the park. This is the heart of the ancient Maya civilization, a place where life, death, and the very cosmos were intertwined in a spectacular, sometimes chilling dance of ritual. Honestly, if you were actually there without a guide, a map, and probably a really good bug spray, you likely wouldn't survive long enough to see the sunset. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know where you're listening from tonight and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The purpose of these shamanic journeys was ultimately to ensure the well-being of the community. By consulting with the divine, shamans sought to understand the will of the gods, predict future events, intercede on behalf of the people, and maintain the cosmic balance. Their roles were absolutely critical for the survival and prosperity of their society. They were the ultimate problem solvers, facing challenges that our modern world rarely contemplates. You feel the ground beneath your feet, not concrete, but packed earth, uneven and root-bound. The air hangs heavy, thick with the scent of loam and the faint, sweet decay of tropical flora. Around you, the jungle teems with life, a symphony of unseen creatures chirping, buzzing, and rustling. It's an immersive experience, one that pulls you back thousands of years to a time when the Maya reigned supreme in Mesoamerica. As you push through a curtain of hanging vines, a colossal structure slowly reveals itself through the trees. A pyramid, impossibly steep and reaching towards the heavens. Its stone steps, worn smooth by centuries of bare feet, invite you upwards, towards secrets whispered by the wind through ancient carvings. As you stand in the quiet stillness of this ancient space, you feel the weight of centuries of spiritual quests, of minds pushed to their limits to connect with something beyond human comprehension. The air, once thick with the imagined scent of herbs, now carries only the gentle whisper of the wind. Yet the profound energy of these ancient journeys still resonates. It's a chilling, yet awe-inspiring, testament to the Maya's unyielding quest for divine connection. The Maya, you quickly learn, weren't just brilliant astronomers and mathematicians. They were people deeply, intrinsically connected to their world through a complex web of beliefs and rituals. Every sunrise, every downpour, every harvest was an opportunity for communion with the divine. Their rituals weren't just ceremonies, they were the very act of maintaining cosmic order, ensuring the sun would rise, the crops would grow, and life itself would continue. Imagine a world where your daily existence is literally dependent on pleasing, powerful, often demanding gods. That's the world you've just stepped into. You've explored the inner worlds of shamanic journeys and the cosmic stage of the ballgame. Now, as the soft twilight deepens into night, and the stars begin to prick through the velvet sky above the dense jungle canopy, you find yourself on the fringes of a sacred precinct, where the rhythms of sacrifice resonated most profoundly. This chapter delves into the various forms of sacrifice practiced by the ancient Maya, beyond the personal bloodletting you've already encountered, and how these acts were intricately woven into the very fabric of their belief system and the cyclical nature of their universe. You reach the base of the pyramid, its sheer scale dwarfing you. The stone blocks, precisely cut and fitted, speak of an engineering prowess that still boggles modern minds. As you begin your ascent, each step on the ancient stones resonates with the echoes of countless ceremonies performed here. You're not just climbing a structure, you're ascending into the heart of their sacred cosmology. At the summit, the air feels different, thinner, charged. The panoramic view of the endless jungle stretching to the horizon is breathtaking. But your eyes are drawn to the altars, still stained with the faint, indelible marks of ancient offerings. The concept of sacrifice for the Maya was fundamental to creation and existence. Their myths tell of the gods sacrificing themselves or their blood to bring the world and humanity into being. Therefore, human and animal sacrifice was seen not as an act of cruelty in our modern sense, but as a reciprocal duty, a way to nourish the deities, maintain cosmic balance, and ensure the continuation of life. It was a debt repaid, a sacred exchange, keeping the flow of vital energy moving through the cosmos. Imagine if your very existence was predicated on a cosmic loan, and repayment was a matter of life and death. Literally. One of the most striking aspects of Mayan ritual was its pervasive nature. It wasn't something confined to a single day or a specific temple. It permeated every facet of life. From the birth of a child to the planting of a crop. From the declaration of war to the death of a king. Ritual provided the framework. You see, the Maya believed in a cyclical universe, one of creation and destruction, rebirth and renewal. And it was through their diligent performance of rituals that they ensured these cycles continued, preventing the cosmic engine from grinding to a halt. Think about that for a second. You're not just praying for a good harvest. You're performing a ritual that guarantees the sun comes up tomorrow. Talk about pressure. You are drawn towards a larger, more imposing temple, its steps leading to an altar that feels charged with ancient power. This would have been a primary site for significant ritual sacrifices. While less frequent than individual bloodletting, these more elaborate sacrifices were reserved for monumental occasions, the dedication of a new temple or city, the accession of a new ruler, a major calendrical cycle ending, or times of severe crisis like prolonged drought, famine, or critical warfare. As you walk across the open plaza at the top of the pyramid, you notice intricate carvings on the stellite upright stone slabs that depict kings, priests, and supernatural beings. These aren't just decorative, they are narratives, frozen in stone, detailing specific rituals, the dates they occurred, and the deities they honored. You can almost hear the rhythmic chanting, the blowing of conch shell trumpets, and the pounding of drums that would have accompanied these grand public displays. The air itself seems to vibrate with the lingering energy of devotion and awe. One of the most well-known historical facts is that human sacrifice, while present, was not as ubiquitous or as large-scale as it's sometimes portrayed in popular media, especially when compared to some other Mesoamerican cultures like the Aztecs. For the Maya, it was a highly significant, impactful event, steeped in profound ritual and meaning. The individuals chosen for sacrifice were often captives of war, particularly high-ranking enemy warriors or rulers, who were seen as extremely potent offerings due to their vitality and status. Sometimes, even members of the ruling elite might be offered, especially in times of extreme duress or to fulfill a sacred prophecy. The concept of time was central to Mayan ritual, far more sophisticated than our linear progression. They had multiple interlocking calendars, each dictating different aspects of life and ritual. The Tzolkin, a 260-day sacred calendar, and the Hab, a 365-day solar calendar, combined to form a 52-year cycle. A truly massive chunk of time that culminated in significant, often intense renewal rituals. Imagine having a precise calendar not just for planting your corn, but for knowing exactly when the gods needed a specific type of offering to prevent the sky from falling. It sounds a bit like trying to keep your digital calendar synced across 3 different devices, only with significantly higher stakes. The methods of human sacrifice varied, often tailored to specific deities or ritual purposes. Decapitation was common, particularly in connection with the ball game, as you recall from our last discussion. Hearts might be excised, or victims might be thrown into sacred cenotes, natural sinkholes, particularly at sites like Chichen Itza, as offerings to the rain god Chayek, especially during droughts. You can almost feel the chilling plunge into the deep, dark waters, imagining the solemn procession to the cenote's edge. Historians still debate whether the Maya understood the true nature of astronomical phenomena, or if their predictive abilities were purely based on meticulous observation and complex mathematical models passed down through generations. What is clear, however, is that their observations of the heavens were unparalleled for their time, informing every major ritual. The alignment of a planet, the position of the sun on a solstice, or the appearance of Venus, all were signposts guiding the timing and nature of their most important ceremonies. You look up at the perpetually green canopy, Trying to imagine how they could track such movements without any modern instruments, relying solely on their naked eyes and incredible dedication. Beyond human lives, animal sacrifice was also a significant part of Mayan ritual. Jaguars, eagles, turkeys, deer, and dogs were among the animals offered. These animals, often imbued with symbolic meaning related to specific deities or cosmic forces, served as powerful conduits for communication with the divine. Imagine the vibrant colors of a sacrificed parrot, its feathers scattered on an altar, a small yet potent offering. Consider the role of the priest kings, the Kuhul Ajau. These weren't just political leaders, they were intermediaries, living bridges between the human and divine realms. Their every action, from their elaborate attire to their public appearances, was imbued with ritualistic significance. When you see depictions of them on the stelae, adorned with feathered headdresses and jade jewels, it's not just fashion, it's a costume designed to transform them, to elevate them to a sacred status necessary for performing the most potent rituals. They were the lead actors in the grand cosmic play, and their performances were absolutely crucial for the well-being of their entire civilization. You might notice small depressions in the stone floor, or remnants of charcoal in hidden niches. These suggest the burning of precious objects as offerings: jade, obsidian, shell, pottery, textiles, and even food. These were also considered forms of sacrifice, as they represented valuable resources given back to the gods. The more valuable the item, the greater the offering, the more pleased the deities would be. It's a bit like giving your most prized possession as a gift, knowing it will be deeply appreciated. The Maya believed in a complex pantheon of deities, each associated with different aspects of nature, creation, and destruction. Itzamna, the creator god; Kainich Ahau, the sun god; Chak, the rain god. These were not distant, abstract concepts, but living forces that directly influenced their lives. And these gods needed to be fed, placated, and honored. This constant interaction formed the bedrock of Mayan ritual. You can almost feel the presence of these deities in the humid air, hear their whispers in the rustling leaves, as if the entire landscape is a living temple. The timing of sacrifices was absolutely critical, meticulously guided by the complex Mayan calendar systems. Astronomical alignments, the completion of specific calendar cycles like the Katun ending every 20 years, and the decrees of priests and rulers all determined when and what kind of sacrifice was required. This wasn't a spontaneous act. It was a precisely choreographed event, often planned years in advance, ensuring maximum cosmic efficacy. One fascinating, yet often overlooked, detail about Mayan ritual involves their use of specific, often pungent, incense. Copal resin, derived from certain trees, was burned in vast quantities during ceremonies. The smoke wasn't just aromatic, it was believed to be a direct pathway for communication with the gods, carrying prayers and offerings upwards. Imagine the air, thick with the sweet, resinous scent of copal smoke, mingling with the earthy smell of the jungle, creating an almost hallucinatory atmosphere during a major ceremony. It's a sensory detail that truly brings the past to life, doesn't it? You can practically smell it now. A deep, ancient perfume hanging in the air. The academic debate continues regarding the extent to which these rituals were voluntary or coerced. While captive warriors clearly had no choice, there is some evidence to suggest that in certain elite sacrifices, individuals might have gone willingly, believing it was their ultimate duty and a path to spiritual honor. It's a challenging question, trying to project modern concepts of free will onto an ancient worldview where personal identity was often subsumed by the greater good of the cosmos and community. You continue your exploration of the pyramid summit, realizing that every step, every view, every detail here is a testament to a civilization that lived and breathed ritual. Their world was ordered by it, sustained by it, and ultimately defined by it. It's a profound thought to live in a reality where the line between the sacred and the mundane is almost non-existent. For the Maya, there was no separation. Life was ritual, and ritual was life. One uncommon historical detail is the use of ritual cannibalism in some very specific, extreme contexts. While not widespread or a common practice, some archaeological evidence and interpretations of iconography suggests that in rare instances, particularly after major victories or during times of profound ritual significance, parts of sacrificed individuals, often the heart or flesh, might have been ritually consumed. This was not for sustenance, but to absorb the power or essence of the sacrificed, particularly if they were a powerful enemy. It's a concept that is deeply unsettling to modern sensibilities, yet within their worldview it held a profound, albeit extreme, meaning of spiritual assimilation. You descend from the first pyramid, the ancient stones cool beneath your fingertips, and the air still thick with the lingering scent of copal. As you make your way through the dense undergrowth, the sounds of the jungle press in once more, a symphony of unseen life that was, for the Maya, never truly unseen. For them, every rustle in the leaves, every splash in a hidden pool, was a manifestation of the cosmic dance, a constant interplay between visible and invisible forces, between the earthly realm and the divine. As the night deepens, you can almost feel the solemn energy of ancient processions, the rhythmic drumming, and the low chanting that would have accompanied these profound acts. The air itself seems to hum with the echoes of ancient prayers and offerings, a testament to a people who understood existence as a constant dialogue with the divine, a dialogue often sealed with the ultimate gift. Your journey now leads you deeper into their worldview, a cosmology so intricate it makes modern astrophysics look like a child's drawing. The Maya didn't just believe the stars were pretty lights in the sky. They believed the cosmos was a living, breathing entity, a grand stage where gods, ancestors, and humans performed their roles in an unending drama. And you, walking through these ruins, are a silent observer to the echoes of that ancient performance. You recognize that these rituals, while stark, were deeply meaningful to the Maya, an integral part of their spiritual economy. They illustrate a worldview where the human realm was inseparable from the divine, and where the continuation of life itself required deliberate, sacred acts of giving. It's a powerful reminder of how different cultures can conceive of the universe and humanity's place within it. Imagine trying to navigate your life when the very fabric of reality is constantly shifting, influenced by the movements of celestial bodies you can only observe with your naked eye. That was the Maya's reality. They saw patterns, cycles, and connections everywhere, from the unfolding of a flower to the precession of the planets. These observations weren't just scientific curiosities, they were sacred knowledge, vital for understanding their place in the universe, and for performing the rituals that kept everything in balance. It's like having a celestial GPS system, only instead of telling you where to turn, it tells you when to offer a prayer or sacrifice a jaguar. You've explored the profound rituals of blood and sacrifice, understanding their vital role in the Mayan cosmic balance. Now, as the deepest part of the night settles over the ancient city, casting the ruins in an almost dreamlike glow, you find yourself drawn to the most sacred and mysterious structures, the royal burial sites, and their connection to the afterlife. This is where the living prepared their rulers for the ultimate journey, a perilous passage through the underworld and a hopeful ascent to eternal glory. The celestial sphere was not a distant, abstract concept for the Maya. It was intimately connected to their daily lives and their agricultural cycles. The sun, moon, and Venus, in particular, were not merely astronomical objects, but powerful deities whose movements dictated the timing of everything from planting corn to declaring war. You can almost feel the weight of their gaze as you look up through the breaks in the canopy, imagining the ancient priests meticulously charting their paths. Imagine the solemnity that would have filled these spaces. The air feels cool, heavy with the dust of millennia and the faint, lingering scent of earth. You are standing before the entrance to a majestic tomb, perhaps within the base of a towering pyramid, or hidden beneath a grand palace. These weren't mere graves, they were elaborate portals, meticulously designed to facilitate the ruler's transition from mortal life to divine ancestry. You might notice the remnants of intricate murals on the walls of these secluded chambers, often depicting scenes from these visionary journeys, swirling patterns, abstract forms, and transforming figures. These weren't just decorative, they were visual records of the shaman's experiences, maps of the spiritual realms they traversed, and guides for future journeys. They are windows into the inner world of the Maya, vibrant and mysterious. For the Maya, death was not an end, but a transformation, a journey into Xibalba, the underworld. This was a complex, often perilous realm ruled by the lords of death, filled with trials and challenges. However, for a powerful king, success in this journey meant achieving apotheosis, becoming one with the gods and ancestors, continuing to influence the world of the living from the spiritual realm. Think of it like a cosmic promotion, but with significantly more obstacles and possibly a few grumpy deities. Take Venus, for example, for the Maya. This wasn't just a morning star or evening star, it was Kukulkan, a feathered serpent deity, or its war aspect, and its movements were closely linked to warfare. Before launching a military campaign, kings and priests would observe Venus's helical rise, its first appearance in the sky after being hidden by the sun, as an auspicious time to strike. You're standing in an open plaza, imagining the king, adorned in jade and quetzal feathers, gazing eastward before dawn, waiting for that faint glimmer, signaling the heavens' approval for battle. It makes our modern concept of strategic timing feel a little understated, doesn't it? The preparation for this journey began long before death. Kings and queens would oversee the construction of their own elaborate tombs, ensuring every detail was perfect for their final resting place. These tombs were not just for the body, they were miniature universes, filled with grave goods intended to aid the ruler on their journey. You can almost see the flickering torchlight as artisans painstakingly carved glyphs and painted murals on the tomb walls, depicting the deceased's life, their achievements, and scenes from the underworld itself. The Maya envisioned the cosmos as a series of layered planes, the earthly realm, where you now stand, the upper world or heavens, and the underworld. Xibalba, a giant world tree, often depicted as a kiba tree, rooted in the underworld and stretching its branches through the earthly realm into the upper world, connected these planes, pathways, caves, and cenotes, natural sinkholes, often filled with water, were believed to be portals to these other realms. As you walk past a gaping, shadowed cave entrance, you can almost hear the faint echoes of ancient chants, knowing that this was considered a threshold to another dimension. A place where shamans might venture to consult with ancestors or deities. It's enough to make you think twice about exploring that dark corner. As you step into the cool, silent depths of what might have been a funerary chamber, you are surrounded by an array of artifacts. Jade was paramount among grave goods, revered for its green color, symbolizing fertility, life, and the sacred maize plant. A deceased ruler would often be adorned with jade beads, ear flares, and even a death mask made entirely of jade, like the famous mask of Kinich Janab Pakal from Palenque. This wasn't just adornment. It was a symbolic connection to life and rebirth, ensuring their spiritual vitality in the afterlife. Imagine being buried in something so exquisite, it still glitters after 1,000 years. The gods themselves were incredibly diverse and often had multiple aspects, embodying both benevolent and destructive forces. It wasn't a simple good versus evil dynamic. A rain god could bring life-giving water, but also devastating floods. A sun god provided warmth and light, but also intense drought. This dualistic nature permeated their understanding of the universe, where balance was key, and ritual was the mechanism to maintain that balance. It's like trying to balance your checkbook when some of your income is from a lottery win, and some is from a small loan shark operation. Things can get complicated quickly. Other offerings included ceramics, obsidian blades, shell jewelry, and caches of precious stones. Food and drink, sometimes even pets, were also interred to accompany the deceased on their journey, providing sustenance and companionship. Each item was placed with specific ritualistic intent, a curated collection for the ultimate voyage. It's a bit like packing for a very long, very important trip. But instead of your passport and toothbrush, you bring jade and ceremonial knives. One of the most profound aspects of their cosmic understanding was the concept of sacred cycles. The Maya believed that time was not linear, but cyclical, constantly repeating itself. This meant that past events could, in a sense, be re-experienced or reenacted. This belief heavily influenced their rituals. By performing a ritual from a previous age, they weren't just commemorating it. They were actively participating in its recreation, drawing on the power of the original event. It's like watching your favorite movie again, but this time, you're actually in the movie, influencing the plot with every popcorn crunch. One well-known historical fact is the discovery of the tomb of Kinich Janab Pakal at Palenque, one of the most magnificent Mayan burial sites ever found. His sarcophagus lid, a masterpiece of Mayan art, depicts him at the moment of his descent into the underworld, surrounded by cosmic imagery, with the world tree rising from his body. This imagery beautifully encapsulates the Mayan belief in death as a transition to rebirth and cosmic integration. It's truly breathtaking, even in pictures, to see the artistry and profound meaning etched into that single stone. The Mayan calendar system, which you briefly touched upon earlier, is a testament to this cyclical worldview. Beyond the Tzolk'in and Hab, they also utilized the long count calendar, a monumental system that could track vast stretches of time, sometimes millions of years into the past and future. This wasn't just for historical record keeping, it was a way to pinpoint significant cosmic alignments and prophetic events, ensuring rituals were performed at precisely the right, most potent moments. Imagine having a calendar that not only tells you what day it is, but also exactly where the stars were when the universe began, and where they will be when it might end. That's some serious time management. The orientation of the tombs and the bodies within them was also ritually significant. Often, bodies were positioned to face specific cardinal directions, particularly east the direction of the rising sun in creation, or aligned with important astronomical features. This ensured the deceased was properly aligned with the cosmic forces that would guide their journey through Xibalba. You can almost feel the pull of those ancient alignments, connecting the earth, the tomb, and the heavens. You wander through what might have been an ancient observatory, a structure perfectly aligned to capture the solstices and equinoxes. Sunlight, precisely angled, illuminates a specific carving on a stone. This wasn't accidental. These structures were built with an incredible understanding of archaeoastronomy, serving as both temples and scientific instruments. The priests, the true masterminds of Mayan cosmology, used these alignments to predict celestial events, which in turn informed the timing and nature of their most elaborate rituals. The academic debate continues regarding the precise nature of the Mayan underworld and the challenges faced by the deceased. While the Popol Vuh provides a detailed narrative of the hero twins' journey through Xibalba, it's unclear how literally these stories were interpreted by the Maya. Were the 9 levels of the underworld physical places, or symbolic representations of spiritual trials? It's a question that delves into the heart of their eschatology. Seeking to understand their hopes and fears about what lay beyond life, this meticulous tracking of time and celestial movements was crucial, because the Maya believed that the world was created on a specific date, and that the present world was just one in a series of creations and destructions. The last major cycle ended in 2012, a date that caused quite a stir in modern culture. Remember, for the Maya, it was simply the end of a grand cycle, a period of renewal and recreation, not necessarily a cataclysmic end of the world as we know it. It highlights how differently they viewed cosmic transitions compared to many modern apocalyptic narratives. One uncommon detail about Mayan royal burials is the occasional presence of companion burials, or sacrifices within the tomb itself. While not always present, some elite tombs contain the remains of individuals, sometimes retainers or captives, who were interred with the ruler. The interpretation is that these individuals were meant to accompany and serve the king in the afterlife, much as they did in life. This practice, though rare, underscores the profound belief in the continuation of social hierarchy and service even beyond death. It's a stark reminder of the absolute power held by these rulers. One little-known fact is that the Maya also tracked and incorporated eclipses into their ritual practices. They understood the predictable nature of solar and lunar eclipses and meticulously recorded them. While often seen as ominous signs, eclipses were also opportunities for powerful rituals, moments when the veil between worlds was thin and communication with the gods was intensified. Imagine the awe, and perhaps terror, of witnessing the sun disappear during a total eclipse, knowing that your priests had predicted this exact moment, and that their rituals were now vital to bring the light back. It would certainly make you pay attention during the sermon. As you stand in this quiet, sacred space, you feel the profound respect the Maya held for their ancestors, especially their rulers. These tombs weren't just places of mourning. They were active sites of veneration, where the living continued to interact with their deified forebears. Offerings would be made at the tomb entrances, and rituals performed to ensure the ancestral spirits remained pleased and continued to offer guidance and protection. The creation myth of the Maya, as described in the Popol Vuh, their sacred book, beautifully illustrates their cosmic dance. It tells of the hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, who journeyed through the treacherous underworld, defeating its lords and eventually ascending to become the sun and moon. This myth wasn't just a story, it was a blueprint for understanding the cosmic struggle between light and darkness, life and death, and the ultimate triumph of order. Many rituals reenacted elements of this myth, connecting participants directly to the foundational stories of their universe. The elaborate preparations for royal burials speak volumes about the Mayan belief system. Death was not feared as an end, but embraced as a pivotal transition, a challenging journey that, if successfully navigated, led to eternal power and influence. It was a testament to their cyclical view of existence, where life, death, and rebirth were all part of an unending cosmic dance. You emerge from the shadows of the tomb feeling a profound sense of awe for a civilization that meticulously planned for eternity. The intricate symbolism woven into every aspect of Mayan art and architecture also speaks volumes about their cosmology. Every carving of a jaguar, a serpent, or an eagle represented a specific deity, a cosmic force, or a pathway to another realm. The colors used in their murals had symbolic meaning: red for the east and creation, black for the west and death, white for the north and cold, yellow for the south and ripeness, and green-blue for the center and the heavens. You start to see the world through their eyes, a tapestry of meaning and connection, where every detail is part of the larger cosmic narrative. You've descended into the silent majesty of royal tombs, glimpsing the Maya's intricate preparations for the afterlife. Now, as the first hints of dawn paint the eastern sky with soft hues of rose and violet, you are drawn to the most profound manifestation of their intellectual prowess and spiritual connection, the intricate calendar cycles and prophetic visions they derived from them. This is where mathematics met mysticism, where precise astronomical observation unlocked not just the rhythm of the seasons, but also glimpses into the will of the gods and the unfolding of fate itself. The academic debate about whether the Mayas' understanding of the cosmos was primarily religious or proto-scientific continues. While many scholars emphasize the spiritual aspects, others argue that their astronomical precision suggests a form of empirical inquiry, albeit one deeply embedded in a sacred worldview. It's hard to draw a clear line when their science was their religion, and their religion was their science. You can imagine a modern scientist and a priest from the same culture having a fascinating, if slightly confusing, debate over coffee about the true nature of a solar flare. Imagine standing on an elevated platform, perhaps an ancient observatory, feeling the cool morning breeze. You look out over the ancient city, now bathed in the nascent light, and you can almost see the ancient astronomers, with their keen eyes and sophisticated knowledge, charting the movements of celestial bodies. For the Maya, time wasn't a simple, linear progression. It was a complex tapestry of interlocking cycles, each with its own rhythm, its own deity, and its own influence on earthly events. It was less like a timeline and more like a symphony, with different instruments playing different melodies that converged at crucial moments. As you conclude this segment of your journey, you realize that for the ancient Maya, the cosmos was not a distant, indifferent void, but a vibrant, living presence that demanded constant engagement. Their rituals were not empty gestures, they were vital, active participation in the ongoing creation and maintenance of the universe. And you, having glimpsed this profound connection, begin to understand why every stone, every carving, every alignment in this ancient land hums with a lingering, powerful energy. The Maya developed not one, but multiple highly sophisticated calendar systems, each serving a distinct purpose and interwoven with their rituals. The two most fundamental were the Tzolk'in's Sacred Round and the Hob Civil Calendar. You've delved into the grand cosmic dance, understanding how the Maya saw the universe as a living tapestry, each thread woven with celestial movements and divine will. Now, as you move deeper into the ruins, towards a secluded courtyard nestled between crumbling walls, you encounter a more intimate, yet equally profound aspect of their spiritual life, the rituals of blood offerings. This might sound jarring to modern ears, but for the ancient Maya, these acts were not about cruelty. They were acts of profound devotion, acts of sustenance for the gods, and acts of connection to the very source of creation. The Tzolk'in was a 260-day cycle, combining a sequence of 20-day names with a sequence of 13 numbers, 20, Kak, 13, Har, 260. This calendar was primarily used for ritual purposes, divination, and predicting auspicious days for ceremonies, births, marriages, or even warfare. You can almost hear the priests consulting their painted codices, meticulously tracing the intersecting cycles to determine the perfect day for a major offering. It's like having a cosmic horoscope that also tells you when to sacrifice a turkey. Imagine standing in this ancient courtyard. The air, still humid, feels heavier here, charged with the echoes of intense devotion. You can almost see the flickering torchlight illuminating the faces of priests and nobles, their shadows dancing on the stone. The rhythmic pulse of drums, perhaps a low, guttural chant, would have filled this space. This wasn't a spectacle for entertainment. This was a vital, sacred transaction. The Hab was a 365-day solar calendar, very similar to our own, consisting of 18 months of 20 days each, plus a final 5-day period known as the Wayeb, often considered unlucky or liminal. This calendar governed agricultural cycles, public festivals, and civic events. When you imagine the farmers looking to the skies, it wasn't just for rain, it was for the precise calendrical signs that dictated planting and harvesting. The Maya believed that blood was the most precious offering, the very essence of life, containing chulel, a vital force or soul. By offering their own blood, especially royal blood, they weren't just making a sacrifice, they were feeding the gods, ensuring the sun's journey across the sky, bringing rain for their crops, and maintaining the delicate balance of the cosmos. Think of it like this: if your car ran on pure, distilled gratitude, you'd probably fill it up pretty often. Right for the Maya, the universe ran on blood, and it was their sacred duty to provide it. The true genius lay in their calendar round, where the Tzolk'in and Hab cycles intermeshed to create a larger 52-year cycle. Every 52 years, a specific Tzolk'in day would align with a specific Hab day, marking a significant period of renewal and often intense ritual. Imagine your 52nd birthday being a major cosmic event, requiring elaborate ceremonies to ensure the world didn't fall apart. That's the kind of pressure these cycles brought. You notice a stone slab in the center of the courtyard, slightly concave with channels leading away. This would have been an altar, perhaps for more significant offerings. But the most common form of bloodletting involved the individual themselves. Kings and queens, nobles and priests would pierce their own body's tongues, ears, lips, or even genitalia with stingray spines, obsidian blades, or bone awls. The blood, sometimes collected on paper or a bark cloth, would then be burned, its smoke rising as a direct communication to the deities. This self-sacrifice wasn't a punishment, it was an act of profound piety and a demonstration of the ruler's commitment to their people and the gods. The king, as the ultimate intermediary, had to provide the most potent offerings. You can almost feel the sting, the sharp, momentary pain, knowing it was seen as a small price to pay for cosmic harmony. It certainly puts our modern concept of paying your dues into perspective. Doesn't it? Perhaps your office job isn't so bad after all. The practice of tongue piercing was particularly symbolic, as the tongue was associated with speech and prayer. By shedding blood from their tongue, rulers were literally speaking their prayers into existence, imbuing their words with the sacred essence of life. Imagine the scene: a ruler, perhaps a queen, pulling a thorny rope through a perforation in her tongue, the blood dripping onto paper, her face a mask of resolute devotion. It's an image that speaks volumes about the depth of their belief. One well-known historical fact related to the Mayan calendar is the 2012 phenomenon, the end of a 13 Baktun cycle. December 21st, 2012 in the long count calendar was widely misinterpreted in modern times as a prophecy for the end of the world. For the Maya, however, it had simply signified the completion of a major creation cycle and the beginning of a new one, a period of renewal rather than destruction. It was an important calendrical turning point. a time for profound rituals of rebirth, not apocalypse. It's like expecting the world to end when your phone plan resets, rather than just getting a new data allowance. The iconography on the surrounding stelae and murals often depicts these scenes. You see images of rulers, their elaborate headdresses adorned with quetzal feathers and jade, performing bloodletting rituals, sometimes with the accompanying vision serpents emerging from the rising smoke, signifying direct communication with ancestors or gods. These aren't just historical records. They are instructional guides, powerful reminders of the king's sacred duties. The precision of their astronomical observations was astounding, especially given their lack of telescopes or modern computing. They meticulously tracked the movements of the sun, moon, Venus, and other planets, noting their helical risings, retrograde motions, and conjunctions. These observations were not abstract scientific pursuits. They were directly linked to the calendar and informed the timing of their most potent rituals. An eclipse, for instance, might be seen as a powerful omen, requiring specific, urgent rituals to restore cosmic order. This practice of blood sacrifice, while central to their rituals, was often accompanied by other forms of offerings. Precious items like jade, shells, pottery, and even highly valued cacao beans were placed as offerings in tombs and sacred caches. You might even spot a small, exquisitely carved jade pendant half buried in the dirt, a remnant of an offering made millennia ago. These non-blood offerings served to complement the bloodletting, enriching the gods and demonstrating reverence. The priests and scribes were the custodians of this intricate knowledge. They were the mathematicians, astronomers, and diviners, responsible for interpreting the calendar cycles and deriving prophetic visions. By understanding the patterns of the past, they believed they could predict the tendencies of the future, advising rulers on optimal times for war, alliances, or major construction projects. Their counsel was vital to the functioning of Mayan society. One well-known historical fact is the association of bloodletting with vision quests. After shedding blood and inhaling the smoke of the burning blood-soaked paper, participants, particularly rulers, would often enter a trance-like state. In this state, they would experience visions, often of mythical creatures, ancestors, or deities, particularly the vision serpent. This serpent was believed to be a conduit between the earthly and spiritual realms, and its appearance confirmed the success of the ritual and provided guidance or prophecy. Imagine enduring such a ritual, pushing yourself to the limits, and then experiencing a vivid, powerful vision that you believe is direct communication from the divine. It would undoubtedly solidify your faith. The academic debate continues regarding the extent to which the Maya literally believed in preordained fate, as dictated by their calendars, versus a more nuanced view where the calendar merely indicated auspicious or inauspicious tendencies, leaving room for human agency. Did they see their future as set in stone, or merely guided by the stars? It's a complex philosophical question, hinting at the depth of their thought. However, it's important to distinguish between self-sacrifice and the more controversial aspects of Mayan ritual that sometimes involved human sacrifice. While self-bloodletting was a common and important practice for maintaining cosmic order, human sacrifice, though less frequent, was reserved for extremely significant events like the dedication of a new temple, a major calendrical cycle ending, or in times of severe crisis like prolonged drought or warfare. We'll delve deeper into the nuances of other forms of sacrifice in a later section. You look at a series of glyphs carved into a stone panel, depicting dates and events. These aren't just historical records, they are anchors in their cyclical understanding of time. The recurrence of certain dates, or the alignment of specific celestial bodies, might be interpreted as echoes of past events, signaling similar outcomes. It's like history truly repeating itself, down to the exact cosmic alignment. The academic debate still lingers on the precise motivations behind the intensity of Mayan bloodletting rituals. Were they solely driven by spiritual belief? Or did they also serve as a powerful political tool, demonstrating the ruler's immense power and devotion to the populace, thereby legitimizing their rule? It's likely a combination of both. When your king is literally bleeding for the cosmos, it's a pretty compelling argument for their divine right to rule, isn't it? It's a lot more dramatic than a public approval rating. One uncommon detail about Mayan calendrical practices is the concept of burden or load that a particular day or period carried. Each day had its own inherent qualities, its own personality, determined by its place in the various interlocking cycles. Some days were considered heavy or inauspicious, prone to misfortune, while others were light and favorable. Rituals might be performed to lighten the burden of a difficult day or to maximize the potential of a propitious one. It sounds a bit like trying to navigate a week filled with cosmic bad hair days and perfect hair days. You notice small, sharp pieces of obsidian flakes scattered near the altar. Obsidian, a volcanic glass, was meticulously crafted into blades, sharp enough to make precise incisions for bloodletting. The precision of these tools speaks to the ritualistic care involved, even in acts that seem physically brutal. This wasn't a haphazard practice, it was a deeply controlled and reverent ceremony. As the sun fully rises, bathing the ancient city in golden light, you appreciate the profound interconnectedness of Mayan time, astronomy, and ritual. Their calendars were not just tools for tracking dates. They were sacred maps of the cosmos, guiding their spiritual lives, shaping their destiny, and offering a profound sense of order in a world intricately connected to the rhythms of the heavens. It's a system that, even today, commands immense respect for its ingenuity and spiritual depth. The Maya believed that the gods had also sacrificed their own blood to create humanity, as recounted in their creation myths. Therefore, human blood offerings were seen as a reciprocal act, a way of repaying the divine debt and ensuring the continued vitality of the universe. It was a profound cycle of giving and receiving, a cosmic economy where blood was the ultimate currency. This reciprocal relationship meant that humans and gods were intrinsically linked, each dependent on the other for existence. You've explored the intellectual rigor of Mayan calendars and the profound meaning behind their various forms of sacrifice. Now, as the sun climbs higher, illuminating every intricate carving on the temple facades, your journey takes you into the vibrant heart of the ancient city, to witness the spectacle of public ritual and community participation. For the Maya, rituals were not always confined to the hidden chambers of shamans or the solemn silence of royal tombs. Many were grand, elaborate public performances, designed to unify the community, reinforce social bonds, and celebrate their collective connection to the divine. As you linger in this ancient courtyard, the sounds of the jungle seem to recede, replaced by the ghost of ancient chants and the soft thud of a drum. You sense the profound devotion that permeated these rituals, the unshakable belief that by offering a part of themselves, the Maya were actively participating in the very maintenance of the cosmos. It's a humbling thought, a glimpse into a world where personal sacrifice was not just a virtue, but a vital necessity for the survival of the universe. Imagine the grand plazas like the one you're standing in now, teeming with people. The air vibrates with energy, a blend of anticipation, excitement, and devout reverence. Thousands would gather, nobles in their feathered finery, commoners in simpler attire, all united in their participation. This wasn't a passive observation, it was a collective experience, a sensory feast of sight, sound, and even scent, all orchestrated to connect the populace directly with the cosmic dance. You've explored the intimate connection of blood offerings and the vastness of Mayan cosmology. Now, as you navigate through a maze of ancient structures, past crumbling residential compounds and administrative buildings, you emerge into a vast open space, unlike any you've seen so far. Before you stretches a monumental, I mean truly monumental, ball court, its high, sloping walls towering above you. This isn't just a field. This is a stage where the ball games of life and death were played out. A ritualistic drama that transcended mere sport? The sounds alone would have been incredible. The rhythmic drumming, perhaps hundreds of drums pounding in unison, setting a deep, hypnotic beat. The shrill, haunting calls of conch shell trumpets, announcing the arrival of important figures or the culmination of a significant ritual phase. The chanting of priests and the collective responses of the crowd, all contributing to a mesmerizing soundscape. You can almost feel the vibrations of those ancient drums resonating through the ground beneath your feet. The air here feels different again, perhaps a little more charged, a little more solemn. You can almost hear the roar of the crowd, the thud of the rubber ball, and the collective gasp as a player made a miraculous shot. For the Maya, this ball game, known as pits, was far more than a pastime. It was a deeply sacred ritual, a reenactment of the creation myth, a way to resolve conflicts, and sometimes a pathway to sacrifice. You're standing on ground where ancient destinies were decided, sometimes in the most final way imaginable. Visually, these public rituals would have been absolutely spectacular. Think of the dazzling regalia worn by the Kuhul Ajah divine lords and high-ranking priests. Elaborate headdresses crafted from iridescent quetzal feathers, so large they must have been incredibly heavy, towering above their wearers. Gleaming jade jewelry adorning their necks, wrists, and ears, reflecting the sunlight. Intricately woven textiles, brightly colored and embroidered with sacred symbols, draped over their bodies. These weren't just costumes, they were sacred garments, transforming the wearer into a living embodiment of the divine, or a bridge to the spirit world. It's like watching a Broadway show, but the actors are also literal gods, and the stakes are the continuation of the universe. Imagine the scene: two teams, often representing opposing forces, perhaps light versus darkness, or one city-state against another, entering this enormous arena. The players, likely athletic men, would have been clad in protective gear, padded belts, knee pads, and arm guards made of cotton and leather. The ball itself was solid rubber, heavy and dense, about the size of a modern volleyball. Picture trying to control that without using your hands or feet, relying solely on your hips, elbows, and knees. It's like trying to play soccer with a bowling ball using only your torso. Sounds exhausting, doesn't it? Processions were a central element of these public rituals. Imagine lines of priests and nobles, carrying censers billowing with fragrant copal smoke, their every movement deliberate and ceremonial as they moved from one sacred structure to another. The smoke, curling upwards, would have added to the mystical atmosphere, carrying prayers and offerings to the heavens. You can almost taste the sweet, resinous scent of burning copal, thick in the humid air. The objective of the game varied slightly by region and period, but often involved propelling the rubber ball through small, stone rings positioned high on the ball court walls. These rings, often intricately carved with mythical beings, represented portals or gateways to the underworld or the heavens. Scoring a point, especially through one of these rings, was an incredibly rare feat, often leading to immediate victory for the team. Imagine the collective eruption of sound from the spectators when that happened. These public ceremonies often involved ritual dances, performed by the elites and sometimes by the entire community. These weren't dances for entertainment. They were stylized movements imbued with symbolic meaning, often reenacting creation myths, battles between gods, or astronomical phenomena. The dancers, adorned in their elaborate costumes, would move in precise patterns, their bodies becoming conduits for divine energy. Imagine the sheer physical endurance required. Sometimes dancing for hours under the tropical sun. The ball court itself was a sacred space, often designed to represent the cosmos. The playing field could symbolize the earthly realm, while the high walls represented mountains or the heavens. The rings, as mentioned, were cosmic portals. Even the ball's movement was seen as a metaphor for the sun's journey across the sky, or the movement of celestial bodies. When you look at the sheer scale of these structures, often central to major Mayan cities, you understand how utterly vital this ritual was to their society. One well-known historical fact is the importance of period-ending ceremonies, particularly those marking the end of a Katun, a 20-year cycle in the long count calendar. These events were among the most significant public rituals, involving the erection of new stele-carved stone monuments to commemorate the ruler's achievements and record the calendrical date. These stele were then formally dedicated with lavish offerings and ceremonies, serving as public declarations of power and piety, visible to everyone in the plaza. You can feel the enduring presence of these stele, silent witnesses to centuries of collective devotion. One widely known historical fact about the Mesoamerican ballgame is its widespread presence across various cultures, including the Olmec, Zapotec, and Aztec, each with their own variations, but all sharing the underlying sacred significance. This particular ball court you're standing in might feel like a specific Mayan example, but the echoes of this ancient sport resonate throughout the entire region. It's one of those cultural common threads that ties together vastly different civilizations. The purpose of these grand public rituals was multifaceted. Firstly, they served to reinforce the authority and legitimacy of the ruler. By visibly performing these sacred duties, the Kuhul Ajau demonstrated their divine connection and their ability to mediate between the human and supernatural realms, thereby ensuring the prosperity of their city-state. When your leader is literally dancing with the gods, you're probably not going to question their policies on corn tariffs. Now, about the life and death part, this is where the game takes a turn into the truly ancient and mysterious. While not every game ended in human sacrifice, many did, especially those of significant ritual importance, or games played by captive warriors. The losing team, or more specifically, the captain of the losing team, or even the winning team to offer the best possible sacrifice to the gods, might be ritually sacrificed. You can see depictions on murals and sculptures of victorious players, often holding the severed head of a vanquished opponent, or engaging in a post-game sacrifice. Secondly, these rituals were powerful tools for community cohesion and identity. By participating in shared sacred experiences, people from different social strata were united in a common purpose, strengthening their bonds and their sense of belonging to the city-state. It was a communal expression of faith, a collective reaffirmation of their worldview. Beyond these interlocking cycles, the Maya also employed the long count calendar. This was a linear count of days from a mythical starting point, August 11th, 31 Fwak BCE in our Gregorian calendar, allowing them to record events far into the past and project them far into the future. Each unit in the long count represented a specific duration, from Keen Day to Baktun, a cycle of 144,000 days. This system provided a chronological backbone for their history and prophecies. You can see inscriptions on stelae that record dates thousands of years in the past, a profound testament to their understanding of deep time. The academic debate continues over the degree of direct participation by commoners in these public rituals. While they were certainly spectators and perhaps participated in collective chants or responses, the more elaborate and sacred dances and offerings were likely performed by the elite. The question remains how much active, hands-on involvement did the broader populace have? Beyond being a devout audience, it's a nuanced discussion, exploring the dynamics of power and belief in ancient societies. The act of sacrifice in this context wasn't seen as senseless violence, but as a continuation of the cosmic cycle of renewal. By offering the most valuable thing, life itself, they believed they were nourishing the gods and ensuring the sun would continue its journey. The rains would come, and the crops would grow. It's a brutal logic by modern standards. But in their worldview, it was a profound act of reciprocity, a way to maintain the universe. Talk about high stakes. No participation trophies here. You might notice the remnants of vast feasting areas around the plaza. After the solemn ceremonies, there would often be communal feasts, where food and drink were shared among the populace. This wasn't just a social gathering, it was an extension of the ritual, a way to collectively celebrate and share in the blessings bestowed by the gods. Imagine the smells of roasted meats, tamales, and cacao drinks filling the air. A joyous contrast to the earlier solemnity. The ballgame wasn't just physical, it was deeply symbolic. It often reenacted the story of the hero twins, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, from the Popol Vuh, the Mayan creation myth. In this myth, the twins play a ball game against the lords of Xibalba, the underworld, ultimately defeating them and bringing light and order to the world. By playing the game, the Maya were symbolically reenacting this cosmic struggle, helping to ensure the triumph of life over death and order over chaos. You can almost feel the weight of that ancestral narrative in the air, transforming a sport into a sacred duty. One uncommon detail that gives a sense of the scale of these events is the sheer amount of copal incense burned. During major public rituals, vast quantities of copal resin were incinerated in elaborate censers, sometimes specially designed for the occasion. The sheer volume of smoke would have been astonishing, creating a thick, fragrant cloud that enveloped the entire plaza, transforming the physical space into a sacred, ethereal realm. You might even find tiny fragments of burnt resin clinging to the crevices of the ancient stones. One uncommon detail about the ball game is the acoustic properties of some ball courts. Architects designed these structures so that sounds, even whispers, could carry across the entire playing field, creating an immersive, almost theatrical experience. Imagine the echoing thud of the ball, the shouts of the players, and the chants of the spectators, amplified by the very architecture of the space. It would have created an incredibly powerful and intimidating atmosphere, especially for the players. Even the architecture itself was part of the public ritual. The towering pyramids, the expansive plazas, the ball courts, and the carefully aligned structures were all designed to funnel participants, to frame processions, and to create awe-inspiring backdrops for the sacred dramas unfolding within them. The city was a living temple, and its layout was a stage for the cosmic play. The academic debate continues over the precise frequency of human sacrifice in connection with the ballgame. While some scholars emphasize the ritualistic aspect, suggesting that not all games ended in death, and that the symbolism was often more important than the literal act, others point to the abundant evidence of decapitated figures and ritual burials found within ball courts. It's a complex topic, revealing the intricate and sometimes brutal nature of ancient belief systems. Were some games purely for sport, and others intensely ritualistic and deadly? It's a question that continues to puzzle researchers. As the day brightens and the sounds of the modern world slowly begin to seep back into your awareness, you carry with you the vivid impression of these ancient public rituals. They were not static, dusty ceremonies, but dynamic, multisensory experiences that bound the Maya together, visually and spiritually. They were a testament to a civilization that understood the power of collective belief and the profound importance of visible shared devotion in maintaining the harmony of their world. You look up at the high walls, imagining the spectators, perhaps thousands of them, packed into the stands. Nobles, priests, and commoners alike would have gathered to witness this sacred drama unfold. It was a communal event, reinforcing social bonds and religious beliefs. The emotional intensity would have been palpable, a mixture of awe, anticipation, and perhaps a touch of dread, especially if a loved one was a player. You've journeyed through the vibrant heart of Mayan public rituals, felt the power of their celestial connections, and witnessed the solemnity of their sacrifices and burials. Now, as your journey through this ancient world nears its end, and the setting sun casts a long, golden light across the weathered ruins, you begin to reflect on the echoes of a vanished world. The ancient Maya civilization, though long past its classical zenith, leaves behind a profound legacy, one where mysterious rituals still resonate through the silent stones, a testament to a people deeply, intricately connected to the cosmos. The sheer physical exertion of the game would have been immense. Players wore heavy padding, moved a dense rubber ball without hands, and played in tropical heat. It's hard to imagine anyone lasting more than a few minutes without being completely exhausted. Yet they played, driven by ritualistic purpose and the profound belief that their performance contributed to the well-being of their entire world. It certainly makes your casual Sunday league feel a little less significant, doesn't it? You walk among the crumbling grandeur, the jungle slowly reclaiming what was once a bustling metropolis. The air, once thick with copal smoke and the shouts of thousands, now carries only the whisper of the wind through the leaves and the distant calls of birds. Yet, the energy of this place is palpable. These aren't just heaps of stone. They are monuments to a worldview, a belief system, and a way of life that was utterly defined by ritual. As you walk across the ancient playing field, the sense of solemnity deepens. This place, while seemingly just a sports arena, was a vital nexus where the earthly and divine realms met, where cosmic battles were reenacted, and where the ultimate sacrifice could be made for the continuation of the universe. It serves as a powerful reminder that for the ancient Maya, almost every significant act was imbued with profound spiritual meaning, bridging the gap between the physical and the supernatural. The enduring mystery of the Maya isn't just in their hieroglyphs or their astronomical precision, but in the sheer depth and pervasive nature of their spiritual practices. Every aspect of their existence, from the simplest daily tasks to the grandest dynastic events, was imbued with ritual meaning. They lived in a world where the sacred and the mundane were intertwined, where human action directly influenced cosmic harmony. It's a concept that challenges our modern, often secular understanding of existence. You've witnessed the grand cosmic ballgame and the profound meaning of blood offerings. Now, as the sun begins to dip lower, casting long, ethereal shadows across the ancient stones. Your journey takes a turn into the more mystical, the more ethereal aspects of Mayan spiritual life, the world of shamanic journeys and altered states of consciousness. This is where the veil between worlds thinned, where priests and shamans communed directly with deities and ancestors, and where the boundaries of human perception were deliberately pushed. Think back to the bloodletting rituals, where kings and queens offered their own vital essence to feed the gods. Remember the ball games, where sport became a sacred reenactment of creation and conflict, with stakes that literally included life and death. Recall the shamans, journeying through altered states to commune with ancestors and deities, bringing back wisdom for their people. These weren't isolated events. They were threads in a rich, complex tapestry, constantly reinforcing their understanding of the universe. Imagine the deep, resonant hum of the jungle as twilight descends. The air grows cooler, and the chirping of unseen insects becomes more pronounced. You're guided towards a secluded, perhaps even hidden, chamber deep within a temple complex, or perhaps a natural cave opening, its mouth shrouded in thick vegetation. These were sacred spaces removed from the daily hustle, specifically chosen for their perceived connection to the underworld or the spiritual realm. This isn't just a quiet room for meditation, it's a launch pad for cosmic travel. The academic debate continues regarding the ultimate reasons for the collapse of the classic Maya civilization in the southern lowlands around the 9th century CE. While environmental factors like prolonged droughts, deforestation, and resource depletion undoubtedly played a role, many scholars also consider how ritual and religious practices adapted, or perhaps failed to adapt, during times of severe stress. Did a perceived failure of rituals to bring rain or victory in war lead to a loss of faith in the divine rulers, contributing to social upheaval? It's a complex interplay of ecological, political, and spiritual factors that we are still trying to unravel. For the Maya, shamans and priest kings were not just religious figures, they were cosmic navigators. They possessed the specialized knowledge and spiritual power to enter altered states of consciousness, allowing them to transcend the earthly realm and interact with the divine. This wasn't something everyone could do. It required years of training, deep understanding of ritual, and a profound connection to the spiritual forces. It's like being a highly specialized interdimensional diplomat, only instead of a briefcase, you carry a bag of sacred herbs and a very strong stomach. One well-known historical fact that exemplifies the legacy of these rituals is how elements of ancient Mayan belief systems and practices persist, albeit in transformed ways, among contemporary indigenous communities in Mesoamerica. While centuries of conquest and conversion have undoubtedly altered them, you can still find echoes of ancient calendrical knowledge, reverence for sacred sites, and traditional healing practices that draw from deep ancestral roots. The ancient rhythms still hum, quietly, in the hearts of their descendants. The primary method for achieving these altered states involved the ceremonial use of psychoactive plants. While the specific plants used are still a subject of scholarly research, evidence suggests the use of substances derived from morning glory, tobacco, certain mushrooms, and even potent alcoholic beverages made from fermented maize. These weren't used recreationally, they were sacred tools, carefully administered under strict ritualistic guidelines, intended to open the mind to spiritual realities. You can almost smell the pungent, earthy aroma of burning herbs, mixed with copal, filling the small, enclosed space. The pyramids themselves are perhaps the most powerful symbols of this enduring legacy. They were not just temples for ritual, they were cosmic mountains, built to connect the earthly realm to the heavens and the underworld. When you stand before them, you are standing at the nexus of their universe, feeling the silent testimony of countless ceremonies performed upon their heights. You can almost feel the presence of the priest kings, adorned in jade and quetzal feathers, ascending those very steps, their every movement a prayer. Beyond plant-based substances, sensory deprivation and extreme physical exertion also played a significant role. Prolonged fasting, intense dancing, drumming, chanting, and even self-inflicted pain like the bloodletting rituals we discussed could induce trance states. Imagine hours of rhythmic chanting, the air thick with incense, your body exhausted from dancing, and your mind pushed to its limits. It's a holistic approach, where body, mind, and spirit are all engaged in the quest for spiritual communion. It makes your most intense workout feel like a gentle stroll in the park. Even the ruins themselves, overgrown with jungle, seem to breathe with the memory of these rituals. The way a shaft of sunlight penetrates a specific doorway on a solstice, illuminating a hidden carving. The acoustic properties of a ball court that amplify a whisper. The careful alignment of a structure with a celestial body. These weren't accidental. They were deliberate architectural embodiments of their ritualistic worldview, designed to enhance the sacred experience. In these altered states, the shamans would undertake vision quests, communing with ancestors, receiving prophecies, diagnosing illnesses, or seeking guidance for the community. The visions they experienced were not hallucinations in a modern sense. They were believed to be genuine encounters with spiritual beings and genuine journeys through the cosmic layers. You might see depictions on ancient pottery of figures transforming into jaguars or serpents, or conversing with otherworldly beings. These were not just artistic flourishes, but representations of these profound shamanic experiences. One uncommon detail that emphasizes the ritualistic precision of the Maya is the discovery of dedicatory caches buried beneath temples and stelae. These caches, often containing meticulously arranged layers of jade, shell, obsidian, and ceramics, were not just random offerings. Each item was placed with specific ritual intent, marking the birth or dedication of a new structure or monument, imbuing it with sacred energy. They were like cosmic time capsules, locking in powerful blessings at the moment of creation. The jaguar was a particularly powerful spirit companion and symbol for shamans, representing strength, cunning, and the ability to traverse between worlds, especially between the earthly realm and the underworld, where jaguars were believed to reside. When a shaman was depicted as transforming into a jaguar, it signified their mastery over these spiritual journeys. You can almost feel the presence of these powerful animal spirits, unseen yet palpable, in the shadows around you, as the last rays of sun disappear behind the jungle, casting the ruins into deep shadow. You are left with a profound sense of awe and a touch of melancholy. A civilization so deeply attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos, whose every breath was a ritual, ultimately faded. Yet the echoes of their mysterious practices remain, imprinted on the landscape, whispered by the wind, and still resonating with a power that transcends time. One fascinating, lesser-known detail is the use of enemas to administer psychoactive substances. While it sounds incredibly uncomfortable, this method allowed for rapid absorption of the compounds, leading to more immediate and potent effects, crucial for a precise ritualistic timing. It's a reminder that their methods, while alien to us, were rooted in a practical understanding of pharmacokinetics, albeit through an ancient lens. Perhaps a new trend for the morning rush hour commute? Probably not. It reminds us that even in our modern, scientifically driven world, there are profound ways of seeing and interacting with the universe that are far beyond our everyday comprehension. The Mayas' rituals were their way of making sense of the world, of controlling the uncontrollable, and of connecting with the vast, often terrifying, beauty of existence. And perhaps as you drift off to sleep, you'll feel a tiny, ancient connection to that cosmic dance yourself. The academic debate continues regarding the exact chemical composition of the substances the Maya used and the psychological effects they aimed to achieve. While archaeological evidence and ethno-historical accounts provide clues, precise identification of all psychoactive compounds and their dosages remains challenging. It's a complex puzzle, piecing together botanical knowledge, ancient texts, and modern pharmacological understanding.